Yeah, indeed, it's a great pleasure to be here on the day that we announced the Pact of Amsterdam, and with that the urban agenda for Europe. And we're doing that currently as chairman of Europe, but I see our friends from Bratislava who will indeed take over in a month and carry this program further, because it's truly a collaborative program. So, good to see you again. Never see you in real life. So let's take it to the idea that mayors would rule the world, which has really caught on, especially among the mayors of our country. And what you could say is that in a sense we've done what was proposed, and that is to create a system in which local government is much more in the lead when it comes to planning, legislation and planning regulation. So let's take it one step back. And I was wondering this weekend how you would measure what is the greatest invention of mankind. And one way to do that would be to say, let's do a thought experiment. Have somebody from another planet, let's say the planet Mars, visit our planet 100,000 years ago. That's before mankind took over the planet. And visit again today. What would you notice as the most striking difference? You could say, well, they invented the wheel, or they invented the use of fire. But the first thing that the Martian would notice, even before landing on the Earth, there's still rivers deep, there's still mountains high, but there's cities. These huge creations of something that didn't used to be there, where people live in an environment where they cannot collect their daily food, where they cannot kill their rabbit or collect the berries or the nuts that they eat and depend on other people to do that for them. So that we take it for granted, but the city is a huge creation of mankind. It always has been the source of creativity, of innovation, of economic growth. Now in the mid-80s of the previous century, ended a long period of decay for the cities. It was the center of industrialization, and in the post-industrialization period, everybody moved out. If you look at pictures now from the 30s, you see all these chimneys in the cities. It was clearly not a sustainable system, and it didn't sustain. People moved out. If you look at the number of people living in Amsterdam, it went down linearly from over 1 million down until 1985. Since then, it has caught on again. People move into the cities. It's the place to be. They're different people, and they're doing different things. Now, for that to be sustainable, we need to create cities where people indeed can lead the good life. And that is the good life at many levels. It needs to be clean cities, where the air you breathe is good. So that means 25 years from now, we cannot imagine that there would ever have been combustion engines in our cars. You know, it will be impossible, the idea that we used to have that. But they also need to be cities that are safe, where the housing is good for everybody, independent of your income, where everybody can lead a decent life. And they also need to be lifespan sustainable. So cities are not just there for people who are young and hip and happening, but also if they get their children, that they need to live in an environment where they can take them to school and have a good place to live. And also that is not automatic, if they grow older and need some care, that they don't need, after having lived in the city happily for 70 years, need to move out of the neighborhood because there's no arrangement for living and care. So we need to make it sustainable in many respects. Research has shown that the way to get advantage from the cities is by creating not so much larger cities, but denser cities. So the challenge is to create denser cities that are at the same time sustainable. So with that in mind, and also keeping in mind that the Netherlands, with the exception of Malta, a small city-state, is the most urbanized country in Europe, it's probably appropriate that after many years, and many people have contributed to it, that during our chairmanship we could announce the Pact of Amsterdam. Now that pact consists of 3 important pillars. One is that we've agreed upon with all the partners involved, so the Committee of the Regions, the cities, the different European institutions, the countries, the governments, that European Parliament, European Commission, we've all made a pact. That's also why we've used this word. It's not a declaration, or it's not a decision by European Parliament or by the Commission. It's something that we decide together. So in this pact we say, in policy making, cities should be at the start of the chain. You know, because if policies are made in capitals or in Brussels, at the end of the day, it's the cities that need to carry it out. So whether it's about clean air or about refugees or about anything, it's always at the end of the day the cities that need to do it. So why not involve them at the start? Second, obviously, funding. Now, we don't decide or ask for new sources of funding, but we need to make sure that funding is made available, that cities know where to find it and how to get access to it. And maybe the Commissioner will have more to say about the one-stop shop which is being created by the European Commission. I think that's very important news of today that I greatly appreciate. Third, we have to share knowledge. And it seems so obvious, but for the Dutch people here, the newspapers every day are full of concerns about the immense success of tourism in Amsterdam. Right? You've walked around here, you see that. It's getting very, very crowded. And what does it mean for the prices of housing, and how do we deal with that? But if we talk to the mayor of Barcelona, or if we talk to people from London, or from Venice, of course, where it's gone to the extreme, we see the same issues. So let's think about solutions together and share our experiences. So I'll wrap it up. Those are the three pillars. So cities early on in decision-making, access to the available funding, and sharing knowledge for common problems. The format is new. As I said, it's a pact, which by itself is a new way of decision-making. And also, what we actually do is in programs, and the participation in these programs is voluntary. So again, it's a you could say, postmodern way of policy making. We're not going to tell cities what to do. We invite them to participate. So we have a program on clean air, which is actually drawn by, in this case, by the Netherlands. We have a program on affordable housing, where Slovakia is in the lead. But there's also a program on migrants, where the city of Amsterdam is in the lead. So we're flexible in terms of the way it's being constructed. Ideally, we would like to have 5 countries, 5 cities, and institutional partners to get together in a program and start a series of such programs. Let me finish by making 2 final points, if I may. One is that we've had here on Friday a session of citizens' initiatives in cities. And, you know, it's already probably new in Europe that decisions are not taken in Brussels, but that they're taken between Brussels and the countries and the cities. But these are still institutions. And I find it very inspiring to go to sessions where actually citizens get together and take initiatives. And all we as government need to do is be out of the way, or sometimes, you know, share the enthusiasm, or sometimes share a little bit of support one way or the other. But you don't need to do much. So traditionally, local government thought, I think, for decades of citizens as being in the way. You know, you come up with a program, you want to build something good, and then the citizens say no when they demonstrate against it. It's a very classical situation. But now what we see is the opposite. It's the citizens say, hey, we want to get stuff done. Could you please give us the opportunity to do that? And I think that's an immense opportunity. An example that I really liked was initiated in Barcelona, where some clever students, I believe, made a little gadget that measures air pollution. This little gadget you can just buy personally. You have to pay it, of course. It's connected by Wi-Fi to your home computer. And then there's a little software app that shares the data with all the other people that have a gadget like that. And therefore, in the city of Barcelona, citizens could measure the air quality in their neighborhoods, in their streets, and share it with each other, and have a sort of output of their own behavior. If we, you know, try to not pollute the air, we can measure that together. So I like that sort of format. And now it's, I believe in Amsterdam, that's also caught on. And these are nice initiatives to be aware of and to share. And then, you know, you don't need to do much more than what I do now probably, is to just share that enthusiasm and knowledge and say, you know, pick it up. You can just do that. Finally, we started the session we had today last night at the Stedelijk Museum, and looked at an exhibition of the Amsterdam School. Now, Amsterdam School was a century ago a movement where architects started building for working class people to work in the city of Amsterdam. They're all monuments nowadays. And it's interesting that people like Berlage and others who built palaces, they built, you know, the Beurs of Berlage is a famous building, also built for working class people. And they thought beauty was there for everybody, not just for rich people. And that vision worked out because, you know, if you just walk around in Amsterdam, you can see it all around you. So, and as politicians, I like that because I think we've allowed ourselves to be pushed back too far, you know, where you couldn't do anything anymore. But we need people with a vision who plan things and who want to dare to look ahead and create, you know, new neighborhoods in the way that they think will be good for a good life. And so I think with that inspiration, and of course it was an age of optimism, we should try to find it again, because we need to find the enthusiasm to create good cities for people to live in. So with that, I want to thank you for your attention.